exciting. Oh my God. What are you most excited about this episode? How many times did I ask you to help me with the outline for questions?
She was really nervous.
I was nervous, you guys.
So you should watch, because she was nervous. And that means she cares. And if she cares, that means it's good. So if it's good,
then you guys will like it too. We've morphed into one person. Let's see if I can make it so you're totally gone. I did it. Okay. Anyways, this episode is the part 1 of my interview with Lauren Conrad, especially for my YouTube peeps. Love y'all. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. I know it's been 15 years since we filmed together, but I don't know how long it's been since the show ended.
No, since we started, not since.
No, since we started, exactly.
Right.
So we met 15 years ago. I think I was 20 and I was in college and you had just moved to LA. And since we've gotten married and we've had kids and we've launched businesses and so much has happened. And I would say the question that I get asked the most of all time is, are you still friends with Lauren? I know. And I'm like, it's just so interesting because that's what people really want to know, right? Like that's how people really got to know us, was together in the teen Vogue closet. And people always want to know the behind the scenes and like if there was any drama. And so my answer to them is always like I was telling you on the phone, like it's friends that you went to college with, like good friends that you had really special experiences with that you always have love for, but that you don't always keep in touch with. Like, has anyone ever asked you that if we're still friends? And like, how would you answer? How do you answer?
Wait, Whitney, you put me on the spot.
I'm going to
I think actually like what you said is perfectly describing it. Like I have so much love in my heart for you. And like we shared this really weird, unique thing. And I think it's like old college friends where it's like, I'll always remember you like that. And I'll never have that with anybody else. Do you know what I mean? Like
totally. Like nobody really knows the stuff that we know. Yeah. Or like, it's like that thing. It's just these roots that are always very strong. And even when I'm talking to you now, I'm like, oh, it feels totally normal. Like I'm just sitting with you in that closet again. So that feels really nice. I know, that closet. So yeah, because for me, I mean, and I wanted to touch on this a little bit, but like I had a friend that I had a falling out with that you then became best friends with. And I always thought for all this time, I've been telling myself this story that because of that falling out with this friend, that tinted how you felt about me. And so I have felt like this insecurity that maybe you thought certain things about me that may not have been true or that I didn't have the chance to explain. And so I've always thought that maybe you were upset with me for what happened with that friend.
It's so funny how there are things that we kind of like have in our mind and we're like, well, that's what it is. And, and again, obviously we talked about this, but like,
yeah,
I wish we'd had this conversation because when you said this, I was like, I actually have no idea what you're talking about. And
so crazy.
Yeah. And like, again, like I have so much love for you. And it's one of those things where like, I stopped filming and then I just kind of needed a clean break for a minute to kind of emotionally recover. And, I took some time off and then obviously moved out of LA. And so I have so many friends that like I love catching up with and I get to see them every once in a while. And it's, I feel like I'm not describing this correctly.
No, it's fine. No, like, you totally are. It's those things, these stories that we tell ourselves that we've told ourselves for so long. And it's like, I was talking about this with Timmy and he was like, you always just have to clear things up or tell people how you feel and get the response. Cause it's like for years I've been living with this feeling I hate hearing this.
I hate it so much.
I know. But it's because that whole situation was so hard for me. And then because you guys became such close friends, I was like, oh my God, now Lauren's just going to think I'm the worst person because of maybe she thinks that I'd like dropped this friend or whatever it was. And so anyways, I feel like I'm so happy that I told you and got off my chest, and that it's something that's so not a thing. And it's something that I need to continue to tell myself, like, stop always believing these things that you tell yourself. Like you have to get validation from the other person. It's just not healthy for me to hold on to that.
Yeah. I mean, I hate saying this right now, but like hindsight is always funny. Like,
yeah,
one of those things you're like, oh, I wish I would have said something or done something. But also like when you feel that way, like that's such a terrible feeling where you're like, well, I don't want to like, I don't know. Confrontation's always really challenging for me too. So I'm always like, maybe a little time and like, it'll fix itself. I don't know. But,
yeah. I mean, I think I also felt like, you know, once the show was over, you not that you wanted nothing to do with it, because I know that it wasn't that, but that you tried to remove yourself obviously a little bit, because it was so like personal for so many years, and you were just, you know, you couldn't have that magnifying glass on your life anymore. And so I think that I fell into that bucket of like, maybe she just doesn't really want anything to do with me anymore because like I'm part of the show that, you know, that she wants to kind of move away from. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I think, yeah, again, like it was such an odd time for me, and I did it for as long as I could. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, well, this isn't like a healthy space for me anymore. Yeah. And like, I need to kind of like live my own life and do this. And I really like, I kind of like removed myself from that whole scene, really. I think it was just, and I apologize for ever making you feel that way, because obviously it had nothing to do with you personally. It's just me being like, okay, like I need to live my life. I lived a certain way for so long. And like, as much as I am appreciative and I love you and I love so many people we worked with, like, you know, there is like certain like toxic elements there, and it gets really hard. And I was like, okay, I gotta just like step away from this world and like kind of heal in a way and like figure out who I want to be. Because again, like we started so young, and I was like, it's such a time where you're figuring out who you are. And I was like, I did it in such a weird way. Like I need to do this on my own now with like no other voices or just like literally living my life for me. So, and I'm 100%. Sure you felt the exact same way when you stepped away. It's like a very weird thing where you're like, what now?
It's so weird. Yeah. And it's like, who am I? And like, how am I going to make things happen now? Because for so long, there was a whole team of people making things happen for us. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, we actually now need to be the creators of our own destiny. What is like a day in the life right now? Like, what does quarantine look for you right now with 2 kids?
So right now I have like, right behind me is our living room. I have a bounce house in our living room. I have like all the furniture shoved to the sides and like a huge bounce house because the air quality has been so bad.
Right.
My kid hasn't been outside in a week, and he's going crazy. Oh my God. Nuts. Like my youngest Charlie, like he, you know, he's like crawling around. He's fine. Like I'm sure he'd like to go outside, but it's not as big of a deal. But Liam, who's 3, is so much energy. Like when they get
so much. Our kids are like the same age.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took him on a walk this morning. I had to get him out because I was just like
gotten a little better. I checked my air quality app and I was like, okay, I like let him out into the yard today. But I've been keeping him pent up inside. He's going crazy. And I'm like, I don't want to stick him in front of a TV. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I just dragged the bounce house that we got in like our first week of quarantine. I was like, we have to do something with them. And it was like the best $200 I've ever spent. I was just,
I know. We got one for outside too. Yeah. We got one for our backyard too. But then I don't know, Timmy got so annoyed with it because Sonny wasn't using it. Like Sonny is like a very typical toddler where he'll use something for a couple days and then he's sick of it. And Timmy was like, I don't want this eyesore thing hanging out anymore. And so we ended up giving it away, but we should have just put it in our house.
Well, yes, I dragged it in and I was like, there you go. Like bounce it out.
Oh my God.
He's just like,
so the 2 of them will spend hours in there?
No, Charlie, it's too scary. He's just, you know, they get so rough. I'm just like, I can't put a baby in there with you.
Yeah.
I go in there with him.
Yeah.
My cardio. I'm
Cute.
like, oh, out of shape.
So what do you like, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Like, and what does your day look like a typical day?
Gosh, it's so different every day. So we work out of a house that's across the street from us. So we essentially set up offices, and so we usually wake up and get ready, and then my husband and I work together. And so we get up and, we walk to the office and we work, and then we, the kids, we get the kids up and we do morning with them. And then, we go to work, and then we come home and have lunch as a family, and then work and come home. Obviously we're not traveling this year or doing much. So, usually every day is pretty different, but now it's kind of always the same. It's a lot of, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of, just like the amount of boxes and samples that show up at our house every day is wild.
Oh my God. Yeah. So your husband works with you, like with all of your businesses?
So he was working at my law firm, amazing. And he was like, if you work at a law firm, you're just constantly gone. And he was actually working on my stuff, but a lot of other people's as well. And so finally, after a couple of years, like right before we had kids, we were like, you know what, let's you already work on everything I do. Like, what if you just do that full time? You help me run the business. It was becoming too much for me. And I was like, that way, like we can, see each other and make our own schedules and have like flexibility with a family. And it's been, fortunately, really nice.
I know. It's been really nice for us too. That's so funny. How did you guys meet? Did you meet because he was at the law firm? Is that how you met?
No, he was at the law firm because he met my lawyer, and then they became friends, and then he was in school. So I met him. He was a law student when I met him.
I feel like I knew this, but I kind of forgot.
He was going to USC Law, and I met him through, it was a blind date, like a setup on Valentine's Day. We like all went out as a group, and my friend of a friend was just like, I had this guy I'm going to law school with, and she said, she's really cute. She's Southern. She was like, y'all think the same stuff is funny. I think you'll get along. Like basically, like I don't get your jokes, but like you guys both seem to get them. And
the rest is history. Oh my gosh. How do you guys like make time for just the two of you? Like, have you gone on any dates? Like anything fun that you guys are doing to,
it's
because
list. We'll get to it. No, we're actually like, we need to, now that like things are starting to open up, we're like talking about, he was like, do you want to go camping? Like we don't really want to go to a hotel yet, but I was like, I really don't want to camp. That sounds terrible. So we're trying to figure out like what a date even looks like. Obviously our time together, we spend most of the day together, and then, once the kids are down, we have that time. But I'm sure as well, it's like, you also want to find time for yourself. So, we're doing that 2020 dance.
Yeah, no, totally. After we have dinner or after we put Sunny down, like I'll go take a shower, do my night routine for 30 minutes, have my own just sane time. And then he plays a video game for like a half hour. And then we meet up and like, we'll sit on the couch and watch TV and whatever. I don't expect like, it's a little bit too much to expect like date night and the whole thing, but just to have some time, just the two of us sitting on a couch is like enough for me.
But we're counting that as a date. We do that every night.
Okay. So we have date night every night. Go us. We're killing it. Into your businesses, you are running so many different businesses. You have your clothing line and now kids clothing line and your makeup line. What have been some of like the notable highs and lows of your businesses? I know for me, like closing down Whitney Eve was obviously a very emotional, hard thing for me after my dad passed away. And, there's been obviously various things that have happened, but does anything come to mind? Like any amazing moments where you're like, I can't believe this is happening, or anything like not so great?
Well, this year was a challenge, for so many people. And again, like I feel really lucky for where we're at and everything we have. But we were launching 2 lines this year. And through COVID, it held up production. Like I had a kids line, like stuck on a boat. Like it was just everywhere. And then it was like, even just getting lines physically done, there was also, we had to consider, is it appropriate to launch a line right now?
Right.
There's just so many factors. It's like, for our kids line, it was like, there's so much tragedy happening right now. And there's something about a launch that feels really celebratory, and it feels weird to do. But at the same time, like, you want to be sensitive. You want to do launches when they feel appropriate, but also people's jobs depend on this. And like, you don't want to contribute to people like not having employment. It's just like it was just messy. And we had the same thing with the beauty line. It was pushed, like 6 months, like the launch. It was, and it was hard. I mean, we got creative with a lot of stuff. We had to figure it out, but it was like every day there was something. And we're lucky to have jobs. So like, we're not really in a place to complain, but it was challenging.
That was challenging. And what about moments like a career moment where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is so cool.
Showing at New York Fashion Week was amazing. I can't believe I was able to do that. Especially now, because like, I don't know what Fashion Week looks like. Like, does that happen again? Like, or when? It's I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity to do it. That was a wild moment.
Yeah. Well, I had the same experience with you. Like I had a Rent the Runway collection launch, and it was supposed to launch in April. And obviously we couldn't launch it then because nothing was going to be able to be shipped. And it was like, oh my God, we're going to be launching a clothing line. This feels so inappropriate. And so we launched it a couple months later. And even so, I still felt like, does this feel right? But the same as you, it's like, all this hard work has gone into it. So many people's lives depend on it. Like maybe there's some way that this can bring joy into people's homes. I found myself really enjoying, even if it's only a few times, like enjoying putting myself together a little bit or like putting on some makeup. I think the beauty line, actually, it's a perfect time to launch it because people still are like putting together a quick natural look, especially for Zoom calls and everything that they have to do. But the kids' clothes, like, so kids are constantly growing and need new clothes. Like we may not need new clothes, but kids do.
I've just been it's so funny. I just buy tops now because I'm like, this is all anybody's seeing.
I have sweats on right now.
Oh, I actually have pants on, but I don't have.
Good for you. What has been like the greatest business lesson that you've learned?
The greatest business lesson is, I think it's just how important relationships are. And I mean that in different ways. One, like when you're partnering with someone, like I've worked with friends, it's worked out, it hasn't worked out. Like, and also I've worked with someone and, done a good job of maintaining that relationship that, the business relationship ended, but then it led to something else later. Like relationships are everything. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. It's just,
Yeah. I think working with friends is really tricky. Like I advise against it, as someone that worked with my family, love my family to death, but like would never do that again and would tell or would urge people not to do that just because you just want to love your family and friends for who they are. You don't want anything else to tint your relationship. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, but Timmy and I are doing this together and you and William are doing this together and we're making it work. But there's something different about that.
Yeah. Well, you're building something together and you're building a life together. So like it is different. And I totally get what you're saying. The only I've worked with friends and it's not always gone great, but the exception I have there is I work with, have you ever met Hannah?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I have worked with Hannah for years and she's one of my best friends and we run a nonprofit together. And I think the fact that it's a nonprofit sort of changes that. There's, none of us are working towards like a financial gain. Like we're just working to help other people. And we have that in common. I think she's also just a great person. And we were really clear from the get-go, like, these are our roles and this is what we'll do. And that's been a really nice relationship. And I love working with her. So I think there is ways to make it work. It's just, I think you have to be really thoughtful before you enter that relationship. And you also need to know when to call it.
Yeah,
it's okay
that's
being
true.
like, you know what, this isn't working out.
Yeah, I agree. It is very important. And I feel like you have to listen to your gut too at the beginning. Like if something is feeling a little bit off at the beginning, like really listen to that. Do you have any mantras that you've heard or that have stuck with you? Like for me, sometimes when I'm in a rough moment, I just continue to tell myself like there's no way out but through, you know, like, is there anything that you tell yourself?
I think you've said it really beautifully. I don't necessarily have a mantra, but I think that is my attitude. Like, I think knowing that things are temporary is always helpful. And I think when I'm going through something that's challenging, I just try and I know this sounds so cliche, but I just try and take a minute to be like, but there's so much good. Like, don't feel bad for yourself. That's not productive. Like, no one feels bad for you. Like, this sucks. It'll, move on.
Right. Like keep things in perspective. Yeah. But that always takes time. Like you always have to have a night of sleep. Like don't respond to things right away if you're feeling iffy about stuff. Like there's nothing that a little bit of time can't heal. You're like the person that writes back right away.
It's probably not a great thing about me. I just I take my business so personally. So sometimes I'm a little quick to pull the trigger. I'll send an email and William will be like, that's super professional.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to stop myself too. Cause I'll write back and it won't really make sense. I won't read it over. I won't have proper punctuation. And then I send it and I'm like, oh my God, I look like such an idiot. But so now I've had to retrain myself to take some time to not just right back like that. Do you have any mentors or life coaches or anyone that helps you work through any of this stuff?
No, that sounds so nice. Do you have a mentor?
I don't have a mentor, but I actually just hired a business coach. Yes,
that's awesome.
Because I feel like a little bit scattered, like kind of how I'm sure you feel. You are wearing so many different hats and there's not a ton of strategy. It just feels like there's a lot of incoming, but I'm not setting goals or checking up on things. I'm hiring someone to help me pay attention to all those things.
That's great.
Yeah. I'll let you know how it goes.
Let me know. That sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm the same way. I kind of lose sight of that sometimes and I have to kind of reel things in and look at the bigger picture. I do love numbers though.
You do?
Not in a math way, in a,
yeah.
You're talking about a consumer, I'll get reports that are thick and I will read through those. I think it's so interesting.
So fascinating. And then you'll design based off of those numbers, right?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, I love my job. I want to be creative and do stuff. And I love creating things that I think are really beautiful, but I think a customer tells you what they want. If they bought a lot of something, I'm like, oh, okay, they liked that, so we should do that again. It's just stuff like that to kind of guide you. I love looking at selling history and stuff. It's just
and analytics. Yeah. What are you most excited about right now? In your business?
Right now, I'm really excited about beauty. It's honestly, it was 2.5 years of work and it was a weird way to launch, but it's been really fun. We have a bunch of new products coming out. So, I launched a really small collection and
tell me about it.
So I did that on purpose. Again, like I just said, I love to get feedback and I designed a collection for myself. I designed the type of things that I like. I like more natural makeup. I like things that are easily applied. Most of my makeup goes on with my hands. I was just this is what I want. And I wanted to check all the things. I was I want to feel good about the products. I want to do clean formulas and ethically sourced. I want all the packaging to be recyclable or, eco-friendly. So I designed into that, but I did it in a small way because people love to give you their opinion. So right away they were you know, like this, don't like this, wish you had this. And so like, I have like a running list of requests and like, I'll always like message them back and be like, okay, but like, what color are you talking about? Do you like this? And they're like, oh, yes. Cool. I'll submit that for you. I think it's just so interesting. Like, I think if you take that feedback and grow with it, it's really helpful as opposed to like launching a huge line and going in blind. Like, I want to learn about this customer and her needs. And, so we launched pretty small and we're about to roll out some more products, but just like continuing to grow.
Amazing. And is it just direct to consumer, like on laurenconrad.com or
Lauren Conrad.
Is the plan just to keep it straight direct to consumer?
No, I think we obviously want to grow beyond that. I just wanted to do it this way, initially to have just like a really close relationship with that customer.
What is your beauty philosophy?
I think you shouldn't take makeup too seriously. It's makeup. It's meant to be fun. Like, I love to play with makeup. I think on an average day I have like 10 minutes to get ready. So I don't do a ton of experimenting during the day, but like when we were doing like girls' nights or going out, like I love to like have fun and like do a bold lip or like experiment with eyes. I don't know. Makeup should be fun. It should be like clothes. It's fun. Have your everyday wear, and then sometimes
like a little bit of a statement.
Yeah.
Are you a beauty junkie or do you like stick to basics? Like, are you one of those people that wants to try everything or you have your faves?
I have favorites for sure. I'm a really loyal. So like if I find a product, I will use it until it's discontinued. Like I have.
Oh my God. Can you tell me some of the things that you're like obsessed with?
There was I'm not going to remember the name. There was a Chanel bronzer that I absolutely loved. I wore it for years, discontinued it.
No.
I know. What else? There was like my favorite eyeliner of all time. This is really going back. I did a partnership with Mark, which is like,
I remember that.
Their eyeliner I was obsessed with. They stopped making it. I bought them all off of eBay and I stuck them in my fridge and I used them all until they were gone. And I was so sad using the last one.
Oh my God. Well, now hopefully yours is as good.
Yeah. Well, I took, it's different because theirs was like a pen or a brush in a little pot and like it was different.
Okay.
But I took the things that I liked about that and applied it to development of this one. So.
Okay. For an average day of quarantine, like what's your process? And if you can give any product call
Sure.
outs.
So on a day where I have no Zoom calls, I don't wear makeup. I like to give my skin days off and I just like pile on product and I'll like, if I'm working or doing something? No. Jillian Dempsey did this like gold bar.
Does it vibrate?
And it's like a cold bar. So like when I put all my product on, like I'll do it in the morning and then I'll like sit and be working and I literally sit here and like use this all over my skin. It's
Rub it in.
Nice. It just like plumps it all in. Yeah. If it gets all your product in. So yeah, if I'm not like on Zoom or anything, I might like put on a little mascara or like a little lip and cheek sometimes. But I don't do much because I like to give my skin days off. But then when I'm doing Zoom calls, it's just like it's like what I'm wearing right now.
Right.
Foundation.
Which is just like foundation, blush, highlighter.
It is. It's foundation, a little concealer here, and then a lip and cheek, and eyeliner and mascara and eyebrow pencil.
Brows. Your brows are so thick and nice.
They're real thick. They're odd. They're thick and they're long, but like I get like thin
patches.
Spots. Yeah. So it's like they're not really consistently. They're kind of like old man brows. It doesn't really.
Yeah, same with mine, and I have to get mine done so badly. Okay, if you were on a deserted island, what would be 3 beauty products that you would take with you?
Ooh, okay. Sunscreen.
What kind?
What do I have right now? I have a few right now. I like Beauty Counter sunscreen. It's a nice clean one. I have one on my counter right now that I was using. It's Versed. Do you ever use their stuff?
Yeah, Versed is great. I like their day dissolving balm. I use that like oily balm.
Ooh, I need to
wash
try
my
that.
face. Yeah, it's really good. It's really moisturizing.
So I would do obviously a sunscreen. I would do, I'd probably do like a lip and cheek and a mascara.
Yeah, that's 4, but I'll let you have 4.
No, a lip and cheek is 1.
Oh, right. Good call. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I use that on my
I was
cheeks.
gonna say, I thought that was it. It looks so good on you.
Yeah, I used
subtle.
it. I
It's
loved
just like
it.
I wanted like a, like after you work out, that like natural flush. I was like, I want that color. Because every time after I work, I mean, I'm a little sweaty, but I'm like, that's what I want
to look like all the time. Yes. No, I loved it. It was really light.